Welcome to Viva La Visionary, the podcast that celebrates the innovative ideas and mindsets of entrepreneurs and visionaries. Join your host, Coach Bob Schittefeld, as he dives into inspiring stories and practical insights from trailblazers who are changing the game. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur or a seasoned leader, this show is your source for motivation and creativity. Let's embark on this exciting journey together.
Hi there, Coach Bob here, host of the podcast Viva La Visionary, celebrating and elevating visionaries. I'm very excited to have Ken Bogard here. Ken, how are you today?
Awesome, man. So blessed. I love your energy. I love you. This is awesome. Awesome.
Great. It's so good to be back. Just to even give people a glimpse, we knew each other as fellow implementers years ago, and we were in, I think it was the Freedom Forum, which is kind of a deep dive for implementers. And we sat next to each other for a day, got to know each other. And you were like, how can we help visionaries? I'm like, I can. And then we got locked down hard. So then we created the Visionary Forum together. And that was an amazing opportunity and experience. And you, as our integrator, made me feel so good as a visionary. And every time we talk, I'm so excited. A lot of times with integrators, I'm like, I don't know if I want to talk to them because they're going to blow up my ideas. And the way you communicate honestly really was an amazing experience. So I miss you and glad to be back in each other's lives.
Yeah, back at you.
Awesome. All right. So my first simple question, Ken, I like to start with is, why are you on this planet? I just like to start small.
Yeah, great. Let's go there. On this planet, I think I'm still discovering why.
And that's okay.
For sure. It is taken a series of dating and exploring different jobs and careers in moments in my life to get to where I'm at today. And I think I'm super close.
Right.
And I'm living in a world where I'm an expert EOS implementer. It's definitely a huge part of my life, but I'm the founder of this crazy thing that is no honesty, that the snowball is going and it's moving very quickly. And I'm experiencing especially that in the last quarter. We got a book out. There's just a lot of things happening. And, I've climbed the first mountain. I am living now to help out other people climbing their mountains.
Right.
Something more out there, and I'm still figuring that out.
So I appreciate that it's a journey. For me as an observer, again, you are a great implementer, you're a great integrator, and now for you to become a real thought leader and a visionary, it just warms my heart, and I'm excited to be in your world. So tell me, and I want to add one more thing. What I know about you and witness about you, your love for God or something greater, your family. I saw a picture on Facebook the other day, and I commented, and I just put love. I mean, the picture of your family was love. So I think it's even something around that. But you're an example of it.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Yeah,
I believe that. There's something to love, and I think there's something to God. And if we get into it, we get into it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. All right, so tell me a little bit about No Honesty. I know a little bit about it and about you, but so give me a little synopsis of what is the title, what is the book, what is the opportunity for us visionaries?
Yeah, a lot of people that don't know me really well, they look at the book title and they're like, what? What is behind the name? Everybody's so intrigued by it. That is by design. Yes. The no in it is highlighted, and most
Right.
people's eyes go to the no. And the reason for that is because it stands out. We back off on the K and the W, which spells no, K-N-O-W. But no is the focal point because there is no honesty, at least not in its purest form.
Right.
We're not, I think we have this God-given ability to communicate and articulate better than any species on the planet. Isn't that crazy?
Right.
Like I can tell you exactly what I think, exactly how I feel, yet I won't. And most people don't. And
Right.
think about that. It's messed up. Two dogs sniffing each other are figuring out each other better than we are when we can communicate in the way that we are. And so we're really screwing up this gift. And it really comes in two forms. There has to come honesty out of our mouths. So who are you being truly and freely yourself, speaking into what you want and how you feel 100% of the time? We just don't do that. But then what we need on the other side of the communication is openness.
Right.
And openness to me, like everybody loves honesty, I think.
Right.
They love the book cover, they love that. If I made the book cover called No Openness, nobody would buy it. They wouldn't buy it. And I get it. because I think we've designed a me, myself, and I world in large.
Right.
And that's a pretty lonely place. And so
Yeah.
we're missing this other side of communication that I would call openness. And that's this ability to just listen without reservation, to put our needs and wants on pause for somebody else when they're sharing their honesty. And then
Right.
I think we're creating this space where honesty can exist in this purest form because you know you're not going to be judged. You know
Right.
that somebody's going to be open to listening to you. Doesn't mean totally agree. You can
Right.
disagree, but still listen. And so
Can have
those
a
are
real
the two sides.
conversation. Go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
No, those are the two sides really that we
Right.
get after in the book.
I love it. And I love what, you're so spot on. And as a visionary, I know that sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to share that because it might upset them, or oh, they might not agree. A lot of us visionaries have, as Dr. Doug talks about in Driven, is imposter syndrome. So a lot of us are still kind of putting ourselves out there, but not fully. And I think what a lot of us, when we start our business, we are open and passionate, and then we start to grow and put processes in place. Then a lot of us visionaries stop being who we are and being honest. And to me, it's an and. It's the process and the people and the structure and the wackiness of us humans. So I
Yeah.
love that. That's awesome.
And you get it. And I remember back in the day when we started the Visionary Forum, I remember, you're thinking you are visionary all day, all night.
Right.
And so I think for all the visionaries that I met, you're like the quintessential, the best. I think you're pure in your honesty, at least you were to me. And I admired that. And I think in a way, the Visionary Forum was really before I ramped up No Honesty in a heavy
Right.
way,
Yep.
and so I
Yeah.
think
You were
you,
talking about it and working on it, but yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And I
Yeah.
think you've had an influence in that because I think that authenticity and rawness from you, man, is so valuable. And I think that's why people gravitate towards you because they know they got a real person. When you got fakeness and you're putting out fakeness,
Right.
people can't stand it.
Right.
It detracts, we separate, and so yeah, I mean, I think you're a big part of my journey. So,
And
that's
vice versa. Again, you've made me feel so great as a visionary. I look forward to talking to my integrator. I mean, we're like, that's awesome. And again, it was a conversation. Not everything I think makes sense, but when I'll put it out there and then I'm listening to you and learning, it's a beautiful thing. So I love that. So a couple of questions about visionaries. How would you describe, because you've worked with probably hundreds of us visionaries now, and now that you are one, what would you say is kind of the role? What are the roles of a visionary?
yeah, I think the first major one for me, I go to like the law of EOS. In a
Right.
way, I feel like EOS is law, to how to operate a business, and
Right.
we interpret law all the time. And and I think it has its pretty cookie cutter approach to what a visionary is. But then we
Right.
got to add the art to the science, which is what should a visionary be? And I think it's really enhancing the gifts of the entrepreneur, the founder, the person who had a passion and a heart and a soul for the company that he or she created. And so a lot of times we try to box in a visionary, but it's really trying to extract that gift that they have. And for some of them, it's that gift of just creating these ideas that solve problems in the world or help them get over huge, terrible things that have happened to the company. And a visionary can just see it in a different way that others can't. Or
Right.
they're great at big relationships and they need to be out talking and doing talks and shedding their knowledge to the world and being seen and drawing people in so that the rest of the leadership team can close it. But that's not the same for everybody. So you just
Right.
got to be careful about making it too cookie cutter. And I think it's really enhancing the skills of that entrepreneur and that founder.
Well, I love that. And again, EOS as a structure is amazing. It's changed my life and many of ours. And it's the visionary to be who I am. And
Yeah.
again, and to be honest, I think with myself and others, I think that's a huge thing. I love that. What's one thing that you, either as a visionary or one of the visionaries that you coached, really was kind of a breakthrough that could be an experience share to say, boy, when a few visionaries did this or became this, it was a game changer. So any experience share and one thing that'd be like, okay, when I did this, this changed my life or my world.
Yeah, that's really great. I'll tell you when early on when I'm working in the session rooms, I've experienced all sorts of visionaries from some that are a little more meek and mild to some that are bold and brazen, over the top, slamming things on the table. I mean, we have those.
Right.
I think sometimes we look at just executive teams and we look at the person who's kind of quiet and we're like, hey, we need you here. What's going on with you?
Right.
And we focus on that. And then sometimes we got this visionary who's a little bit bold and brazen and a little over the top. And sometimes I think people try to silence a visionary.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a problem. And I think it's about letting, how do you let their fire burn bright,
Right.
but not get burned by it?
I
And
love it. It's a
you know,
happy
I
medium. Right.
yeah,
Right.
totally. So I got
Right.
one in mind. I have this company. They're called Truck and Trailer. You can look them up. They're kind of in the Grand Rapids area. I can share the story with full permission.
Yep. Thank you.
This visionary, he's the patriarch of the family, big man, big mitts, probably double the size of this. Just picture that. Large part family owned business. He's got his sons, his brother, and then an HR woman who's not a part of the family. And they're really in a tough spot right after COVID. And because of COVID, we had the great resignation. So people are
Right.
switching jobs all over the place.
Right.
And in this visionary, you can see him, he's thinking through it and he's kind of getting frustrated with the situation. And so I'm just posing options for the team. I'm like, well, here's what I'm seeing. Some people are switching to part-time or flexible work time or 4-hour days or
Right.
work from home. And I'm presenting all these ideas that I've heard. And I
Right.
can see him and he's starting to get up there in temperature and he's getting frustrated and he's upset, and I know this, he's upset with the workforce not wanting to work. And
Right.
so he's an older patriarch, right? So he's been around for many years, and I'm going to give that away in a second.
Right.
And he blows up and he says, you know what? Slams his fist on the table. These millennials need to starve. He's like, that's what needs to happen. And he goes on this tirade. And he's like, I saw the same stuff in the 70s. People didn't want to work. They didn't want to
Right.
work. Freedom and all this. And look what it
Right.
did. It wasn't good for us.
Right.
And it's happening again. And look at everybody. I don't want to work. I want more money, but I don't want to work. Look at all
Right.
this. And it's going to kill us. And he's like, we're not changing anything. We're not changing our core values. And I thought about stopping him because it was a little over the top. And I thought, ooh, are we the flame that is burning people? Or are
Right.
we burning in a good direction? And so I paused and I just remained open. And I really listened to him. I wasn't lost in the emotion. I started really listening to him. And he makes this case and he's like, we're going to double down on our core value of a strong moral compass and a work ethic with grit. We're going to double down. And they did. And what happened to them was incredible. They protected who they really are. They didn't let the times change them. They're one of the strongest companies I know. And their vendors and suppliers were falling apart because they caved to the times.
Right.
It's really a cool moment of like, hey, give your visionary a little space and hear them out. Don't let the emotion and the passion distract you from really what's being said.
Right. Oh, I love that. And again, what I experienced as you in our relationship is I would throw something out and you would get so excited about that idea. It may or may not make sense, but I felt good about sharing. And as you know, when you said the EOS law, and again, love EOS, but it can be taken a little too much. And so it'd be like, oh, there goes Bob again. And so then I actually stopped sharing, which I own. It was, no one told me to stop, but then they lost their visionary. And so it's again, celebrate who we are. And again, I'm so open. If you go like, that's a cool idea. I don't think it makes sense. I'll be like, okay, fine. Or it's not now, but at least it's captured. Because what keeps me up at night is, what if we did this? What if we do that? But if it's like, oh, we're going to look at that next quarter or in 3 years or whatever. So again, you're a masterful communicator with me as a visionary. So great story. I appreciate that. So what's one thing now as the visionary of No Honesty? What's one challenge or opportunity that you're working on as a visionary, whether it be in your business or in your life or whatever it might be?
Yeah, I'll share with you. It's going to be a little heavy. So, early on in my career, I climbed the mountain. So let's go back to that mountain analogy. I climbed the first mountain. I'm good at projects. Yes, the
Go to the
mountain.
mountain.
So you climb the mountain and you achieve things. Your projects were great. Your work ethic is great. Ken, great employee. Thanks for
Right.
everything you've done for the company. It's a great thing. And you get to the top of the mountain, which we could call it your career, your first
Yep.
career, your first major accomplishment. And for me, I get to the top of the mountain thinking, man. And then when you get to the top, you see all the other mountains peeking out over the clouds. And you're like, whoa, okay, there's something much bigger than me going on here. And it's all these other people with their journeys. So I know we talked
Right.
about this a little bit. And so, I'm on this mission of helping other people through EOS, through No Honesty. I'm helping people get to the top of their mountains, like really
Right.
what you want for your life. We live this one life and get this one chance to make it what we want. Man, you ought to have it. Everybody ought to have it.
Right.
And then, Bob, you look up and you look at the universe and you're kind of like, okay, I figured me out.
Right.
I'm helping other people out. What does God want?
Huh.
And so that's something that's really heavy for me, and I'm on a journey on. And it's not like this pressure for me. It's just
Right.
something I'm really excited to explore. And what does that mean? And I've had my heart open to like people in my life that I want to help. And I don't think I've really had it open spiritually to really
Right.
investigate that and listen to what that could possibly be. And so, I'm looking up at the stars more and I'm like, what does God want? As opposed to just helping man get what man wants.
Right.
I don't know what that means, man. That's just where I'm at. And it's a pretty cool moment for me.
So thank you for sharing that. And what's been cool, and again, you're the co-creator of the Visionary Forum. And with the Visionary Forum and Summit, the biggest compliment I've gotten is that we've created a safe space where people can be open about their fears, their visions, their beliefs, their thoughts. And one of the greatest compliments I got at one of our summits is someone said, hey, I'm a devout Christian and I had the greatest conversation about God with a Hindu and a Muslim and a Jew and whatnot. And so, and that's all been taboo for me in the past. And it's
Yeah.
like, what is it for you? And again, it doesn't mean that. And I love Dr. Bill Isaacs wrote a book on dialogue, and I got to work with him years ago. And his definition of dialogue is the art of learning together. So
Mm.
if I have a safe space to share with you to say, what is God and who is God and what does that look like? I'm not going to convince you. You're not going to convince me, but we have a chance to hear ourselves think, feel ourselves feel, and together we figure it out for ourselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I
Totally.
appreciate you bringing that up because I've had the dogma of using the word God. And again, that's become such a big part of my life to slow down, to
Mm.
listen to people when I'm talking to them. But even in my clarity breaks and doing my I Matter tools and whatnot, the messages that come through are so amazing. What a great journey. And then we share it together. It's awesome. So appreciate
Yeah.
that. Very cool. All right. So my last question, and I'm open to any other questions or thoughts you have for visionaries. But as you know, the about a year ago we were talking about the visionaries and actually John LaDuca, who I think you probably know out of the west side of the state, he said, Viva la Visionary. And it was like, wow, did that resonate? And so that's become our rally cry and the title for this podcast. What does Viva la Visionary mean to you? What sparks some thoughts and feelings there?
Yeah. I think when I first saw it, I'm like, that's all Bob. That is Bob. So in many ways, it's already attached itself to you for me in my head. But I think it's just like this rallying cry, let's go.
Right,
Let's
right,
go. And I think we see many things similar, just different pieces of life. I think you and I see similar, and any differences we've ever had. I think I just respect that, and
right,
I think it just means, hey, visionary, you take it, you run with it. Let everything inside of you go and go after it, and surround
right.
yourself with people that are going to support that and care about that and have similar passions. And that's going to help a lot of the stuff you want in life become a reality. So for me, it's simply let's go.
I love it. That's awesome. Well, Ken, I'm so glad we've reconnected, and it's there's been a shift in the universe. Again, this is suspending disbelief, but we're now, I believe, and I see it happening. We're collaborating more with each other. We're lightening up. We're having more fun. A lot of us visionaries start a business. It's cool. It's fun. We get bored. We move on to something else. Well, it's to slow down and listen and collaborate and learn together and create community together, but also help each other to create our own communities. And that to me, I call this the wisdom age. And it's
Sure.
to me, we as visionaries, it's our opportunity and almost our obligation, not necessarily to create more visionaries, but help people to understand what is even vision. And a lot of, whether it be an employee or our kids, it's like, so what would, what do you imagine? And a lot of people are like, I have no idea. And so again, if we can share, again, being vulnerable, sharing an idea, not being, taking things personally if someone doesn't jump up and down to our thoughts. I mean, it's just a great time to be alive. And I'm so glad to be reconnected with you. Very excited to bring you into the forum to teach us that. And again, I want to, so how does someone get a hold of you to learn more about not just the book, but I know you're doing workshops and coaching. How does someone get a hold of you, and what all do you guys offer?
Yeah, so I'll say Google No Honesty, KNOW, and you'll find all sorts of different links to reach out to us, right? There's just so many ways to do it. And I would just tell somebody, do not hesitate to reach out. Don't make it some weird thing that I'm some untouchable person for some reason. That's strange to me. But if this topic has moved you in any way, and you're like, I need something more like this in my life, just reach out to us or go buy the book and explore it. And we're real human beings that are on this planet just trying to get on with life like you. And so really, if anybody reached out to me, I'm going to do whatever I can to reciprocate anything with them.
Okay. And how does someone get a hold of you? Just by looking up No Honesty, or?
Yeah, look up No Honesty and go to the contact page, nohonesty.com. You can also do LinkedIn is really my primary form of communication. But
nice. Love it. All right. Well, any final thoughts for me or for the visionary world? I appreciate your time, but any other?
I got one. Hopefully everybody's held on for this.
Right.
When are we going to start the visionary political party?
Ah, that's interesting. That's another discussion. Well, it's interesting because, and I don't have an answer to that, but I think it's a great discussion. And again, even when I was sharing with one of the people who mentioned that he felt safe to talk about God with people and he learned about himself, it's also about our beliefs. And again, I'm not right, you're not right, or I don't mean to say it like that, but correct. But that it's, why can't we talk about a new way of having a society? And so, and again, it's not that I'm right and someone else is wrong. It's a new world. So yeah, I would love to talk about it. I mean, I had vision early on. It's like, we're going to, because again, a lot of the bureaucratic systems have hit a ceiling of complexity, education, healthcare, government. And so again, I would love to talk with other visionaries about what else can we do for society and leave this an even greater place for our kids and our grandkids. What an opportunity.
Yeah, it's for another time. Look what we've hit up, Bob. We hit up God. We hit up politics. We just didn't get to sex yet. So
that's the next podcast.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
And why not be open and honest about it without judgment? So I love it. Love what you're doing, Ken. Love you. So appreciative of you and all you're doing for the world, and excited to see you again soon.
Cheers, brother.
All right. Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to Viva la Visionary. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and found inspiration in our guest stories. If you loved what you heard, please subscribe, rate, and share the podcast with fellow dreamers and doers. Join us next time as we continue to explore the limitless possibilities of visionary thinking. Until then, keep dreaming big and taking action. Your vision matters.